Paul, is there any clarification yet on Reece Norrington-Davis's situation and how long he potentially will be out?
No, he's going to go and have a second opinion. We want to see as many people as possible. So, yeah, he's seen a couple of people and he's getting his head round it and which way he wants to go with it.
Robert Page was seeming to suggest that he won't be going to the World Cup. Are you kind of working on that this is going to be months, if not weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. Just in terms of the other players, Stevens and Clark and Jebison, I just wanted an update on those three.
Yeah, so Ender and Kieran are training this week, so they've been back in fully today, which is great. They've done, a lot of rehab work, so yeah, it's good to have them back involved. So it's been, they've virtually been involved all week, but we've not done too much at the beginning of the week, so yeah, it's nice to have them back involved in everything today. And Jebo, yeah, he's not going to go down the route of having an operation. Similar to Ben Osborne's in terms of the type of injury, and just one where he's just planted his foot to shoot and just felt something. He's just heard and felt something, and it's a ligament in his ankle. So yeah, he's going to be out a while as well.
In terms of Ender and Kieran, have they got a chance of playing then this weekend if they've trained this week?
Listen, they're at different stages. They need more game time, but where we're at, it's good to have them back and involved and available because, yeah, similar to what we sort of done with Ozzy, Flecky, other players when we've been able to, it may be that it just helps us for that particular game and them getting 10, 15, 20 minutes and things, and we build them up that way. So, yeah, it's good to have them back involved.
Ollie Norwood and El Ahmedhodzic both on 4 bookings at the minute. Is that something you take into account? Do you have a chat with both of them? Does that alter any way that you approach their games?
They're both aware of it. But if they pick up a booking to help us win the game, then there's nothing we can do about it. But I think you certainly don't want any cheap ones and anything that's avoidable. But likewise, you don't want to be walking on the pitch pulling out the tackle. If there's a ball there to be won, you've got to try and win it.
In terms of the Norwich game, on reflection, any regrets in not starting Njai and McBurney and Doyle as the kind of informed players?
I wish we could start. If we had an 11 that was win every week, I wish you could start it every week and play all the games. But it's impossible to do that.
In terms of the players coming in, though, and particularly first half last week, and did you expect a little more from them?
No, listen, we were too easy to play. We gave the goals away. I keep saying before, all our conversations are shaped around the result. We're certainly more aggressive. In the second half, we created more for the possession we had, but we arguably gave more chance away because of, on the counter-attack and things like that. First half, there's 2 real poor goals from our point of view. It was more, the system changed a little bit more with Illiman playing as a 10, and then Flecky and Ollie behind him, and then Tommy and Ollie behind when we took Flecky off.
Second time this season that James McAtee's come off at half time. Have you had a word with him at the minute? Is there a particular reason that's happened for a second time? Yeah,
this was just tactical. He was going to come off because he'd played the minutes the other day. He'd got cramped the one before, played most of the minutes the game before. So we knew on the team we had out that Maka was going to have to come off, Flecky was going to have to come off, and that's just where we've been at. We're getting the players back, so it was going to have to come off. And we were thinking about, if everything would have been going well, would it have been Flecky at half time? But because we need to change it tactically, we went slightly the other way.
I know we've talked a lot about injuries and the strength of the squad that you've got, but is a strongest 11 or a strongest starting 11, is that something that you kind of feel started to emerge this year?
No, because we've had so many people out or missing at different times. So I think of the squad. If you talk about the squad, I think that'd be impossible to say. If everyone was fit and available, then you'd just go off form and who's been training well, who's been playing well. So I think with the type of people we've got out, the positions of people we've got out, you'd like to think they'd have something to say about getting in the 11. And they'll have to be, when they come back fit, they'll have to be chomping at the bit to get in.
Is it quite difficult from your perspective at the minute with so many different players at different stages coming back? You know, we've seen Robinson back in the squad and Osborne and Fleck, and you've just mentioned, you know, Stevens and Clark that are back in, that, you know, people outside will necessarily be looking at all them thinking, okay, they're back.
Fit to start.
But,
yeah. It's not difficult for me. It's better for me to have them back and available, you know. Yeah, it's better to have them fit and available, but yeah, we know that they're not up to speed. So you look back to Ender's game, he's missed a lot of football now. Kieran not quite as much. Robbo from pre-season, so we know that they're not where we need them to be. But the back training, which is great. And as I said, if you bring in that experienced calibre of player off the bench, from my point of view, that makes it a lot easier.
And from a left-sided perspective, because clearly that's been an issue, could they all kind of do bits and pieces now to get more of a natural left side to the team?
Yeah, definitely, and then they can help protect each other, hopefully. Like, for me, it's no coincidence. You look at the amount of football Reece has played and had to play and gone away with Wales and played, so travel play. It's right up there in terms of in his career at the highest level he's played at so far. So that's what you open yourself up for, and that back to one of your other questions. That's why I think you're looking across the board now, across all football at the higher ends of the game. It's just so tough for players to perform and play in every single game without at some point breaking down mentally, physically, and just having that dip. So that will be nice, yeah. Listen, in the game at the weekend, we'd sort of prepared for Ozzy coming off as well, but it'd have meant a right side of playing at that side, and it just wasn't right. It was the right thing to leave Ozzy on for that game, because I felt like he was getting a lot of the ball, so was George, and because of Norwich's back four, they were the ones who were getting free and getting the delivery, and that's how it panned out. So for that game, Ozzy needed to stay on to help us try and win that.
Has the nature of how the game against Norwich went in the second half and the comeback and the fact that you nearly won the game against such a strong opponent, has that given everyone a bit of a lift, really, after recent results?
No, it's probably just as frustrating as the other results. It's not changed, like I say, and it's not changed anything. Shoulda, woulda, coulda in these last few games. You know, I said it before, that's why I'm not a big believer in the stats and things like that, because you've just got to find a way. As I said, if you're looking at stats, shoulda, woulda, coulda, would 4 out of them 6 and drawn the other 2, or even 5, and that's just how it goes. So no, it adds to the frustration. I think, like I said, I just think it's not one of those situations where you're there thinking, what do we do? I'm looking, thinking, yeah, there's so many things we have to keep doing and be more ruthless in terms of taking the chances. And at the minute, when we've made mistakes, they've either been huge ones, so giving a penalty away or a goal away, or not so big ones, but actually we've been punished for it, and that's just the way it's gone. So it was pointless sulking about it. We've identified it, we know it, and as I said, there'll be a lot more games. There has been games already this season where we've made loads more errors, but someone's covered, or it's led to nothing, or the opposition's been wasteful. And we've had other games where we haven't created as much, but been more clinical. So yeah, I think it's just added to the frustration of another game, which I felt we should have won.
West Brom up next, clearly a slightly different proposition now, or are they, with Carlos Corberán in charge, somebody that you obviously know from games last season at Huddersfield.
Yeah, so we know when we prepared for West Brom at Bramall Lane last season, Steve had just come in, so it's another one of those situations where we know there's going to be something different, but we don't know what. So, yeah, we have to be prepared as best we can for whatever we face. But I think when it's like that, the emphasis has to be on us and us performing and playing how we want to play.
So within that, do you kind of look at both how West Brom have gone over the last couple of games, but also maybe look at Huddersfield and the games you had last year in terms of things that you can potentially take into this one? Yeah,
and there's similarities between that, definitely how West Brom have been playing recently, and Huddersfield at times under Carlos. But we're just guessing. So let's say we do as much as we can and look as much as we can. But you could just keep going and going and going, and then what's the point in sharing all that information you're gathering So, yeah, there'll be certain things I think that we'll be pretty sure we can expect, especially in terms of personnel who you know is going to play in their threats. And then the emphasis has to be, on us doing those things we spoke about, more clinical at the top end of the pitch, and as it stands at the minute, we've virtually got to be giving nothing away at the other end.
In terms of the division, there's clearly a lot of teams in there that will fancy themselves around the top. I imagine West Brom fans at the start of the season would think so, but they find themselves second bottom at the minute. Are you quite surprised just how much they've struggled so far this year?
Yeah, I am. But certainly early on, I saw quite a few of their games early on in the season, and do another one, you're saying, they should have won that, they've missed those chances, they've created this and not done that. So they could easily have been a lot higher up, but they're not. And that, we speak all the time about the fine margins in this league. That's what it is. I think the best thing you've got to do is stay focused and not panic on when you're down there, because at any point it can turn. They've decided to change the manager at West Brom and bring Carlos in and try and give it a shift that way. But certainly in terms of the squad they've got, the experience they've got, the players in this league, they'll be fancying the chance of turning it around without a doubt. And we have to be ready for that, because I say you look through the players that they've got in that squad, the experience and the calibre of players, so we know we're up against a real good side.
And I just wanted to ask about the statement yesterday regarding the COP and the fact that the club is now not selling match day tickets for the COP as well, due to persistent standing and supporters sitting in seats that have never not been allocated. What are your kind of views on that, and just how it kind of affects dynamics at Bramall Lane?
Well, no, I've just seen the statement this morning, so I was unaware of it totally till seen the statement. And obviously it's got to the point now where the club have been put under pressure off the authorities to do something about it. So we need to try and do something about it, otherwise the next step is they take it out of our control.
And I imagine that'd be your message to the supporters, because you don't want anything like this to kind of diminish the kind of atmosphere.
Listen, I will have, guessing we'll have chance to try and sort it ourselves as a football club. So yeah, we'll appeal to the fans to help us manage it ourselves rather than other people step in, because if they step in, there's no thought then for our fans, our team, our football club. Rightly so, the focus on the safety, but their decisions then will be about closures, sections, areas, stands, and we certainly don't want that. So I hope we're given the time and the chance to manage it ourselves, and the club communicating well with the fans can help us settle it down.
And from a standing perspective, I know there's different elements to this, but clearly that's not just an issue at Sheffield United. There's people that stand at lots of games. We had calls last night about the fact that most away followings stand up a lot. I mean, what are your thoughts on, the safe standing argument? I know it would cost a fair bit for the club to introduce.
It's been trialled, isn't it? It's been successful abroad, it's been trialled over here, so it's been trialled. So I think, like anything, we have to look into it and see what's best. But we know what's going to lead. It's got to be fan safety. And like I said, the agenda of the authorities, who's putting pressure on us as a club, it's all behind the safety of spectators and fans, which is the right thing. But hopefully we can manage it in a way where our fans aren't put out, and we don't get to the point where it's taken out of our hands, like you say, and we're suffering. Our fans are suffering because they can't see or sit where they want to sit, and we are suffering as a football club because we're having someone else make decisions at our ground on match days.